Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of Next. Hopefully you've had an amazing, amazing conference so far. Today, get excited. We have an amazing presentation. There's some amazing, amazing capabilities that we want to share with you. So we're excited. I hope you're excited. Let's get started. All right, who am I? My name is Jain. I'm in the outbound product management team with Lookl in Google Cloud. And I will be joined by some fabulous colleagues of mine. I have Mihailovski, who we'll hear from later on. And we have an amazing customer, Randip Mitra from Kenview, who has an amazing AI story to share with you, how we incorporated AI strategy with Lookl. All right, so we have a lot of capabilities that we're talking, but we're going to talk to you about how we have Gen AI natively built into Lookl, how we have Gen AI extended with our amazing APIs and the SDKs that we provide. Then we have Gen AI in our customer story base. But last and not the least, we have some new and exciting thing coming out. And that is how we're expanding our Gen AI capabilities in Lookl. All right. So before we get into the features and capabilities and all that, let's actually take a step back. So I've been in the data and AI industry for over 18 years. And I remember even when I got out of college, the bigger problem was always data. There's always a data problem. There's always a data challenge. But today, in addition to figuring out what to do with data, the business leaders have another problem. How do you take the most transformational technology in our generation and incorporate it in their workspace? In fact, 96% of the CXOs say that Gen AI is a big, big focus for them in their organization. And then as disruptive as Gen AI is, a recent study by McKinsey showed that around 70% of the employee tasks have the potential to be automated. So it's a simple math. I mean, Gen AI is here to stay. We get asked by our customers all the time about what we're doing in this space. So it's something that I guess is top of mind for everyone, including all of you. But it does seem like a cool thing, and everyone wants to get there. And it sounds like a dream. But the harsh reality is that not a lot of companies are able to do it. In fact, only 19% of the companies excel at actually maximizing value from their data. And there could be many reasons for that. But with Google Cloud, you get a full platform. You saw this in the keynote earlier this week. But with BigQuery, with Vertex, and with Lookl, you get the full suite. You get the data governance and privacy. You get the security and the compliance support. You get the Google Cloud infrastructure. And you get responsible AI. Everyone wants AI, but with Lookl and the power of the semantic model, you actually get something that we say a responsible AI. And that is where Lookl fits in. So Lookl has 3 strong pillars. The first one is it's just a complete BI suite. You could be an analyst, you could be a developer, you could have different tasks, but with Lookl, you have this end-to-end workflow that you can actually leverage and make your lives and your work better. The trusted and open platform. We all talk about AI, but there's no AI without a data strategy and the governance behind it. So Lookl's semantic model provides that. And last, but not the least, why we're here today, is infused with intelligence. The capabilities around Gemini and how Gemini is infused into Lookl makes Lookl the infusion with intelligence capability. All right, so what I want to do is talk about specifically the capabilities that we have in preview today with Gemini and Lookl. So I will go through each of these capabilities and show you what exactly they are. But we have a Lookl Assistant. We have an advanced Viz Assistant. We have a formula assistant. We have a slide generation automatically and a report generation. So you see the word assistant, because what we're trying to do is make the workflows easier and sort of have an assistant with you who's doing a lot of these tasks and making it easier for you. So what is Lookl Assistant? So if you know Looker, the breadth and the foundation of Looker is the LookML, right? It defines your business metrics, it defines the robust data permissions, and it's that layer on which you build all of your capabilities. So oftentimes we've heard that, oh, LookML is hard. It's hard to learn. So if you know SQL, LookML is easier. But with the Lookl Assistant, just with a simple natural language query, it actually writes the LookML for you. So if you want to create a dimension, if you want to create a measure, you have a starting point that you can either accept, you can modify, but it's not something that you have to write from scratch. So that is the power of natural language within Lookl Assistant. The next one is the Advanced Visualization Assistant. So, visualization tools, we can always have more visualizations. But at some point, what we did is with the capability that we have in the product today called Advanced Visualization, we gave the capability to our customers to custom code a visualization. If there's a specific visualization that's not natively in the product, you can actually build it out. But with this assistant, we make it even easier. You type in a query, and you want to change a line graph to a bar graph. Hey, let's just type it in, type in the query, and let the assistant do that part for you. Again, making the workflows easier as your use cases increase. Formula Assistant, I think all of us write formulas. I often forget the case statements, or even the thing when I'm doing an analysis and I want to create a formula on the fly. Even if it's combining first name, last name, concatenating things, removing nulls, remembering the formula is always tough. So with the Formula Assistant, let the assistant do the job for you so that you can just type in what you want, and the formula is created for you on the fly. We have automatic slide generation. So again, a lot of the information always ends up flowing in slides. It's just the way I think the businesses run every time there's stuff in the slides. So what we have with this capability is that if you have a dashboard that you've created, with a simple click of a button, that entire dashboard is automatically converted into slides. And in each slide, you have the chart. But that's not all. It's not just that you have a chart. You actually have a text summary that explains what exactly am I looking at. I don't know what the chart means. So the slide will have the chart and the summary explaining to you the data points and the data that you're actually looking at. It's pretty cool. And then the report generation. So a lot of times we have certain themes. We have like layouts. We have templates. So with the report generation, with a simple natural language query, you can let the assistant create the report for you. You just tell them what template you want, what theme you want, what is the title, what is the theme, and then get the personalized report layout. And then the report comes with that specific branding, the charts. And again, it's a step for you, right? Then you can start modifying it. But it sets the stage, and you can go on from there. So, all right, so those were the Gemini capabilities that are natively in the product. But the other cool thing that we have is leveraging Lookl's API and have that integration with Vertex AI. And these are open source capabilities that is available in the product today. So Lookl is this middle layer that sits on top of your raw data. The data can be a GCP source, the data can be a non-GCP source, and then it's database agnostic, right? So the semantic layer plays that important part in informing the LLMs what exactly the data is based out of. And the open APIs help interact with services like Vertex AI that is API-based. And then you can build any of your custom front-end applications. So the two specific ones that we have today as an open source solution, the first one is called Lookl Assistant. So we have this tool called Lookl Assistant, and it's one of our open source extensions. And we can ask a question of the Lookl data. So for example, in this one, you can say, who are the most loyal customers in the last 18 months? So we're feeding Gemini our entire data model that the Lookl is based on. And it comes back with like a map visualization with the last 18-month filter already embedded in it. And it has this robust data set that we can then play with and have more questions and answers within the data set. So this is available today. And then the other thing that we have is called a dashboard summary tool. So what we're doing here is clicking each of these tiles and feeding that information to Gemini. And the tool outputs a description of the title, the next actionable steps, and it also provides the summary and the context of each tile. So everything in Lookl is extensible. So what we can also do is once you have the summary, you have the data, and you have the charts, you can actually push this to downstream apps like Slack or Hangouts. Again, these two are open source and available today, but it shows the power of Lookl and the integration that we have with Vertex AI. So we not only have the Gen AI capabilities natively built in, but also extended. So that was what we wanted to share with you. But now I wanted to introduce our fabulous customer, Randip Mitra, who wants to talk about how at Kenview they are leveraging Lookl and some of the Gen AI capabilities. Come on over, Randip.
Thanks, Ani. That was a great set of features she just talked about. Well, good to see everyone. I think you're going to love what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. So before we get started, quickly, I want to mention about who is Kenview. So Kenview, or formerly known as Johnson & Johnson Consumer Health, is a global CPG leader. We touch about 1.2 billion people with their daily rituals across self-care, skin health and beauty, and essential health. And you can see some of the products there on the slide. About 9 months back, we, along with our partners at Google and our development partners at Media Monks, we started identifying what are the biggest opportunities for us to unlock with Google AI, Lookl, BigQuery. And the two dominant use cases shown here were around, first, how can we accelerate our insights using Google Vertex AI solutions so that we can accelerate the insights to the optimization cycle. On the right-hand side is the predictive AI use case where we wanted to tap into Vertex AI's predictive modeling capabilities so that we can build audiences on top of our first-party data. We'll talk about the first use case around Gen AI first. Okay. So as we looked at our MarTech stack and at other solutions in the market, along with our partners, we realized that the Google Gen AI solution will help us extract the most value from our first-party data that we have accumulated and we continue to grow. And it all starts with the semantic layer that Lookl provides. The Lookl semantic layer allows you to add context and metadata on top of your data very easily, thereby preparing the data sets for AI use cases such as conversational queries, much simpler process. Secondly, Vertex AI is a powerful cloud platform that comes with easy tools to deploy LLMs and other Gen AI applications. And lastly, out-of-the-box open source solutions, just like the one Ani just mentioned, like Lookl AI Explorer, reduces the time to value, making it easier for us to get to our end users the tools they need to leverage in their daily operations. Here is a quick diagram of how the Lookl AI Explorer works. Basically, any question you ask the Explorer gets sent to Vertex AI via the cloud function. And then any response from Vertex AI is processed by the cloud function and then pushed back into the Lookl UI for visualization. Before we get into the actual demo, here is an example of how we see an AI Explorer assistant to be used in the future by our end users. Here's a YouTube performance dashboard where the user could be asking, what are my top performing audiences, what are my bottom performing audiences, and the AI Explorer will be able to send that out very quickly. Now we're going to go over a demo of how this looks in real life. So what you're looking at here is our audience management platform built on Lookl. I'm going to go into the Lookl Assistant, and I'm going to type in my first question. And my first question is, what's my e-retailer distribution from my websites over the last 7 days? Usually, this will require you to go to a filter, choose an event in GA4, and also choose the time period. But in this case, you type it in, and you run the prompt. And one great thing about this prompt is that even if you had a spelling error or something where you did not spell something correctly, it still gets the right answer. In the next prompt, I'm going to ask the same Lookl AI Explorer to show me the BQML or BigQuery machine learning distribution of a particular model that we are building in-house for propensity scores higher than a particular threshold. In this case, I'm going to choose a threshold of 0.2 for a particular model. And usually this is something that will require going to a different dashboard, coming out of this dashboard. But here, it doesn't matter which dashboard you're looking at, you're running from the same UI Explorer. That's your distribution score for a particular model. Next, actually, I can go back to my history of my prompts. If I've run something and want to run it every week, I can go back to my prompt and say, in this case, show me the total traffic for my top 5 sources in a particular country. Or the last use case, I'm telling it to visualize on a map my CRM sign-up rates or percentage on a map of Canada. And all of this does not require you to get out of this dashboard at all. Now, let's talk about the second use case we started off, which was around the predictive AI. That was the use case where we're using the predictive AI capabilities of Vertex to build a high-propensity audience on top of first-party data. Google's iBQML or Instant BQML solution packages a lot of the automation required traditionally to develop and scale predictive audiences across multiple regions and markets. The 4 things shown here that I want to quickly highlight: that you do need a robust GA4 environment, you do need GA4 events and tags for your own websites to be working properly, you need an export from GA4 to BigQuery, you do need a training pipeline that is going to use the historical data to be trained on. And lastly, the Lookl environment, where you're going to turn that BigQuery model into something the end users can use for their different audience building purposes. So to quickly take a double click into the iBQML process, essentially we're asking the data 2 questions. Who are the users who came to my website, any given brand website, in the last X number of days, and how many of them, and then actually assign them a score based on their likelihood to do a particular event Y. The event Y could be going to a particular product page, could be clicking on an event, as we've shown before, going to an e-retailer exit. And finally, once the scores are assigned, our end users can go into our management platform and choose the right desired filters they want in order to build the audience and send it to the media platforms. Here is some two quick screenshots of how they could use to validate the accuracy of the model, as well as to filter on those model scores for their media operations. So the key takeaways from this session would be, you need to analyze your current process and workflows in order to identify the areas of opportunity based on your business goals, on your marketing goals. You need to make sure that you have a strong first-party data foundation. In our case, that was on Google BigQuery. and then building Jain AI and predictive AI capabilities that can integrate into your current process so that you can reshape those current processes to increase the efficiency and the speed of your data-driven decision-making and media operations. That's all I have.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Randip. I think before we let you go, just a quick question. With all the AI strategy that you had in mind and what you needed for your business, just let us know what was specific about Lookl that you felt could help elevate the success that you were looking for.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a little bit easy for us because we're already on Lookl. We are using Google BigQuery. So we had the foundation. And then when Jain AI capabilities were, as they get introduced, as we see here today as well, we can incorporate and build on those use cases because our end users are already familiar with the Lookl environment. And we have our first-party data in BigQuery already housed.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your insight and how you're leveraging Lookl in your organization. Thank you. Awesome. Now, I am delighted to present the head of product management for Gemini in Lookl, Nick Mihailovski, who's going to take you over and show you something cool and exciting that's coming with Gemini and Lookl. Over to you, Nick.
All right. Third day, everybody's a little bit tired, so we have something really exciting to share with you. Randip did a fantastic job showing what he's able to do with Lookl today. I'm going to talk to you how we're building this in Lookl for the next generation of analytics. So when you thought about Gen AI, we took a step back. What Ani showed you is a bunch of features that we've added in AI-infused what BI could be. But when we took a step back, we said, what are some of the biggest challenges people have? And what we found is most organizations feel like they don't get the full value from their BI investments. So who's using BI today? Well, we have content creators and analysts and content consumers, viewing dashboards. But the data shows only 25% of people are on average using those tools. So what about the rest of the organization? What are they doing? And so that's where we're looking to focus around how do we enable everyone in an organization to really unlock the value of their data. So we're building a product that targets the whole organization, but we think we can make it so easy to use, it's really available for everybody. So with that, we're building a new product in Lookl called Conversational Analytics. There's a couple key principles that we've built. We made it easy, it's conversational, it's collaborative, it's composable, and it's governed. Now, before I take you through these, let me just jump into a demo and show you what we got. So here we are in Lookl. I'm going to go ahead and create a new conversation. And here's the experience. There's conversations on the left hand, there's data, there's example questions. Should be very familiar. So we're going to go ahead and create some data. Now we have a handful of data sources. We'll add a bunch of them. I'm going to use BigQuery here, and we'll go ahead and select our data. Now this is transaction data around orders, so we can get a sense of how conversational analytics allows us to explore that data. There's a bunch of different fields in our data set that we've got automatically that we picked up from BigQuery. So we'll go ahead and add this to the experience. So let's ask some questions. Let's look at sales. Boom. There it is. How about overtime? There it is. It's a little bit granular. It's kind of hard to see. So maybe by month. That's that. Maybe by a year. So look how easy it is to start manipulating the data, exploring. We can look at it by many different dimensions just by adding follow-up questions. There's no complicated user experience. There's no drag and drop. It's very easy to quickly get your results here. So let's go farther in. Let's look at revenue, sales, and profit. So what's interesting here is there's only 2 columns, even though we asked for 3 metrics. And what's happening here is the AI is realizing revenue and sales are actually the same column. So this is some of the smarts that we're building into the product to make it a lot easier for people to get the insights that they're looking for. So here we can look at, we could drill into one of the states. We can figure it out. And then we could add revenue as well across all the different products. So here we'll look at category and subcategory. And we see it's a little bit hard to view. So within experience, we allow you to change the visualization to make it easier to analyze. In this case, we'll look at a table where we could add bars as well. So let's dig into this here a little bit. We have the category here. There's a number of different values. And we have the subcategory here with a bunch of different values. So let's ask, who bought the most technology, right? This is one of the category values. And what's great about this is we've differentiated. We found that technology actually belongs to the category field, right? And so for each of these questions, we have details that show you how we calculate it. And so if we look in the subcategory, right, we just ask the value that we're looking for, right? Who bought the most phones? You don't need to worry about it's a subcategory. Just ask for phones. Get the answer. Super easy. John. John bought the most phones. And you can see that the right subcategory was picked up there. So similar to what we had before, we can ask for California. We recognize that it's a state. You know, a user doesn't really have to understand how the database schema is. They don't have to know that it's called state. They could just ask for the value, and the results comes out. So what's interesting is when we ask for who, it picked up the right person. When we ask what did they purchase, we get all the products. If we want to ask follow-up questions, again, it's super easy and intuitive. So let's look at the details. And here when we say, you know, who it is, we picked up from the previous part of the conversation that this was Ken. So we're able to keep the context of how people are conversing, so you can ask follow-up questions without having to repeat yourself from before. So, most profitable customers, tomorrow's making us money, fantastic. Let's break it down by state. There it is. And let's add a couple more pieces of information here. Now, it's a little hard to see this, so we're going to use our handy viz switching tool here. We can use a scatter plot or a bubble chart to make it easier to view. Now, what's nice is this is fully integrated within Lookl as well. So we can take the insights we found from here, we can export them, and here you come directly into a dashboard. And what's great is you can have follow-up questions, and you can save and share. What do you guys think? Is that cool?
Cool.
All right. So normally I do live demos. This is the first time I've done a pre-recorded demo, but our product is iterating so fast. What we have now is actually more, has more capabilities than what we had here. So bear with me there. Okay, let's talk about some of the principles and how we're thinking about developing this over time. So one of the challenges with products today is you have to come to the product, you have to know what you want to do, and then you have to learn the product, and you have to map what you want to do to the way the product was designed. That's very complicated. So what's beautiful about Gen AI is you can just go into the prompt and you can just tell it what you want to do. Just explain what you want to do and let the AI figure out how to do it, dramatically reducing the barrier to using this. The other thing is how do you think you explore, right? Many times you have to be very specific about what you want to find. And so as the demo showed, you can start broad. You can ask a general question, and over time, as you get more information, you can refine the questions you're asking to get to that key insight. Again, helping people guide their path and how they naturally find information. And the last part is around trust. What we hear is like, if you can't trust the results from Gen AI, you're not going to use the tool. And so for each of the steps, we're investing heavily to help you understand how we arrive at the results so you can feel confident that the results you get are actually the right data. Second area we're really investing is around collaboration. All decisions are made in collaboration. Rarely is an individual making a decision for themselves in an organization. So one of the interesting things is we're building this directly in the product. One of the really interesting use cases is when people come together, they generally have different pieces of information. And instead of keeping them separate, by bringing people together, we can get new insights. And so this ability to share with others, to bring people in, similar to a Google Doc, real-time collaboration, to bring new insights together with you, others, and the AI conversing together. The other key area is how do you reconcile technical challenges or questions for somebody who's more familiar with the data than you might be. And so adding somebody like a database admin or an analyst into the conversation that can validate your questions so you can feel even more confident. And then by adding workflows and tasks, it makes it much easier to collaborate with others. The other key area is how we're making conversational analytics composable. So what does that mean, composable? The way we think about it is the way people work today is they're using many different tools. And when you think about BI tool, it's a single destination. And so our vision here is, yes, we'll have a beautiful, amazing, dedicated experience that I've demoed for you. But how do we get conversational analytics into the workflows of other people today? And so what we're starting with here is, yes, we'll have for business users a very streamlined experience. But we're also bringing this experience into the editing environment so you can ask questions to create content there. And we're also bringing it to content consumers. So imagine you're viewing a dashboard. What happens? You ask a question. It's not answered in the dashboard. You have to find the owner. You have to find somebody who knows it. You have to find, ask them the question, have them prioritize it. It's a pain. So conversational analytics put directly in these dashboards, anybody now can start asking new questions, getting new insights all on their own. Our vision here is, while we're starting with these three areas within Lookl, is to be able to enable conversational analytics to be called for many different environments, including workspace, other productivity tools, and so forth. It's not about bringing people to a destination. It's about bringing and enabling insights to the people. And the last thing is really critical we see is the governance. And our solution is built from the ground up around being enterprise ready. It's not about exporting CSVs and uploading them to other companies to do analysis, creating exfiltration risks. It's about having it within the enterprise environment. And there's kind of two ways that we're looking at this. One is around the data. Now imagine your data warehouse. How are they typically laid out? You typically have multiple tables that have star schemas that when you query them, you have to keep in mind the relationship between those. So one of the challenges with conversational AI is when you ask a question, you have to identify which is the right table to query, what's the join relationship, and how do you make that accurate? And so it's easy to do a single table, right? You can always export CSV. But how do you actually model this around your data warehouse, around how you actually set up your environment? And so this is really where the core Lookl semantic model plays in, where somebody who's familiar with the data can build out the relationships, and then that entity of a model can be discovered by a business user and queried. And so the accuracy for us increases significantly when we can query a single entity and then have the model translate the right relationships with the right databases. So this ensures that when you're exposing your enterprise data to business users, they're actually getting the right accurate results. And last but not least, now imagine this world where we believe all these business users can start creating and building and getting new insights. The number of people creating content will dramatically increase. So as an administrator, the concern we see is that what do you do with this proliferation of new content onboarded really fast by many users. And so one of our core essential principles is how do we give control to the administrators to get full visibility in how people are using the system, full control over what data can be actually queried, and setting up different policies around what data can be exported. These are things you should keep in mind as you're trying to deploy a new AI solution within your organization. So we talked a new tool, a number of different principles, and we're super excited about it. Now, what I hear from everybody is Google has many AI solutions for natural language. How do I differentiate with them, right? So there's one other tool we talked about at the conference here, which is BigQuery Data Canvas. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll give you a quick overview. This is another generative AI natural language experience. This one is built directly into BigQuery. And so one of the key ways that we're thinking about these two products working in harmony is Lookl Conversational Analytics is really targeting business users. They're not technical, there's no SQL, they just want to get insights fast. Whereas BigQuery Data Canvas, this is targeting data professionals, people who know data, who make their lives off data, and really requires SQL functionality. And the beauty here is that we're working together to make them interoperable. With both tools, you can export these outputs into a dashboard. And we're making it work, so from the dashboard, you can go back into the tools and have follow-up questions. And so the idea here is not for you to have to choose which tool to use, but to use them together to get better insights across your organization. So that's the end of our presentation. If I could call the speakers back up. We've announced a number of different features. We've talked through all of them. All of them are in preview. And then our Lookl AI extensions, those are open source. You can use them today right after the conference.